YouTubers, what's up? Hey! That's the ELD. That thing comes on by itself all the time. I push it right there. You just go from day to night mode or whatever. And, anyway, you'll be driving along, maybe in construction or something. Bam, that thing just flashed the light. Anyways, coming at you from Texas. You know, big day for making videos, apparently. Anyway, I'm going to put a link in the description to a significant. It's a guy, he knows the cartel stuff and all this kind of stuff, and some of the angles, and a little more understanding. Like, this ain't some tweakers out in the bushes. And, you know, some of these cartel things, these are, they're operating a lot like the stock exchange from some of the descriptions that this guy gives. And he's the kind of guy that would know. And then he gets into, like when they shut the border down, that they caught, you know, all these tons of drugs and put folks out of business and stuff like that. One of them turned to, they all turned to a lot of the human trafficking got stood up during the Biden administration. But then when Trump got in there, they shut down the border and they lost a lot of revenue, and they were looking for some way to make money. And there's like a documented case where they were abducting pregnant women and doing a C-section, selling the baby, and then selling the mother's organs. And nobody said nothing about it. And this guy says, that sent the message, you know, like they can do anything because nobody's going to do nothing about it. Nobody's going to do nothing about it. You know, as a collective, the people in the United States didn't hear about it to whatever degree, and for sure nobody's standing up for them. And then I watched a different video about a week and a half ago, and the guy was talking about, it was from one of the prison shows. It's called like The Connect or something like that. And that guy had, you know, he was like a weed dealer, went to prison or whatever. Anyway, on that show, he's talking to a dude that's like an enforcer down there. And he said down there, they will attack the police and then kill the police, then take their body armor and their weapons and all that kind of stuff like that. And he's like, would you ever do that up here? And he's like, well, no, of course not. In America, you fight one cop, you got to fight the whole police force. But it's not like that down there. The cops, you know, it's mono on mono, and nobody's coming to help or whatever like that. And half the police are corrupt too. So if they did show up to help, you don't know which side they're going to show up and fight for. So that's a big problem. And the quote that got me talking about it right now is he said when he went to Mexico, or when he got deported, he traded his American dream for a Mexican reality. Hey man, you talk about hit hard. That hit different, you know what I'm saying? And I felt a certain type of way about that because I'm down here on the border all the time, and I see it like it's like 85% Christianity, and they're reading the Bibles, man. Like they really know. And I can talk to them stuff like they don't understand what blood type is, but that's just like a crazy joke that I come up with. It really, you know, it's a conversation starter in the above I-10 America, but you know, the Texans, they don't really do well with it. Anyway, but I mean, they do, you know, they know that Bible, man. They read that Bible, and there's so many good people. And when I think about it, you know, what would life be like to live like that? You know what I mean? And I remember my coming up at the end of the last dirt road. I mean, there was you could call the cops. Okay, yeah, they'll be here in a couple 3 days. So none of that mattered. You know what I mean? That had no bearing on the fact that if their house was on fire, I had to put it out. If somebody's breaking in, I got to deal with the intruder or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the preppers, they get on a deal where they're like, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't miss my turn here. Make sure my turn's the turn I'm supposed to take. Actually, so. Good thing about back roads in Texas is most of them's big enough for a truck. But sometimes they got these little towns. You really got to watch the signs because they'll say truck route, and then some will say this is not a truck route. They'll write you a ticket. So you got to be kind of careful. Anyway, oh man, he said he traded his Mexican dream. He said he traded the American dream for the Mexican reality. And then further back, when they were having the ICE riots in LA, there was like an independent reporter, and he's talking to this lady, and well, she was a young lady, probably 22, I guess. And and because I'm down here on the border, like, they speak English, but the way they come across is different. Like, I complimented my boss today and said something about, you're doing a good job. And he said, I might need to be 28 years experience. I'm like, you might need to be what? But I guess if you translate that into Spanish, what he was saying is I've been doing this job for 28 years. I better be good at it by now. And he's kind of joking around or whatever. But the speaking English and talking and the comprehension and the way you string the words together, you know what I mean? Like, you can use your words, but if they're, incoherent due to, a different phraseology, I guess. Like, I'm not that linguistically able to articulate what the hell I'm trying to say right now, but a lot of times they'll say stuff that's fucked up, and that's not what they're saying at all. Like, they're not even being disrespectful. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of times where they'll say something to me, this dude's like, one time I was like, I might as well quit this job if you ain't gonna keep me moving. And he's like, are you getting off? And I'm like, what the hell did you just ask me? You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like he's asking if I'm ejaculating and enjoying, telling him I'm going to quit or whatever. But he was really just saying, he's like, are you going to abandon the truck? So, those types of, because I sound like a fucking retard with my accent and the assumption that people from the South are stupid, like another video, Billy Bob Thornton talking to Joe Rogan. Billy Bob talks about, just say the words Billy Bob talks. You know what I mean? Like, there's an assumption of retardation, of less than, and all this kind of stuff. Now, you throw in some mannerisms that are not first language English. Now you got some of the complications of the Texicans. Okay, so the Texicans from I-10 South, man, they have we're either going to fall apart or like it's all going to get together, right? And they're the ones that know just enough English and just enough Spanish. Like, it is the management class, and I'm telling you, if you want to run a freaking factory and do some stuff economically and, not piss everybody off or whatever else like that, because, there's some stuff that, they're not showing up Sunday. They're just not. They're not going to show up before 7 o'clock. You're lucky if you can get them to show up at 9 o'clock. But they're really productive, you know what I mean? So, anyway, they want to drop their kids off at school and then, make their way, making their way downtown. We get a taco. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. But they are innocent, man. They are like Bible thumping innocent majority people that are just constantly, looking over their shoulder like the boogeyman. So that girl, that young lady, she was getting interviewed, and her lips about to quiver, talking about people getting deported to Mexico. And it dawned on me, I'm like, she's not saying it ain't right for them to get deported, like America was doing something wrong to them. She was saying she doesn't want to go back to get raped. That's what she was saying. She's saying that these people are in a situation where these cartels are cutting open women, extracting organs and fetus babies to sell, to make up for the losses because they got fronted some dope and now they can't move it across the border, or it got caught, or they owe, 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older, deeper in debt. Nightmare style, where like you were, messing around whether you wanted to or not. And the farmers, they ain't got no guns. They ain't got no Second Amendment. They have no Second Amendment whatsoever. So if the United States freaking annexes Mexico, gets rid of the cartel, extends the Second Amendment and the whole Constitution all the way to the Panama Canal, and then use the Texicans to operate that shit and manage it, bro, a whole new world of freaking united America. And it would be just wonderful. It really would. It really would. I mean, if you look at Dubai or any of these oil-rich places and stuff like that or whatever, if there was a way to unite and just put heads on pikes, this dude guilty of whatever, you know what I mean? It's a bona fide deal. That, you know what I mean? Like, and just make the leadership corruption on blast. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do, because right there at the border, like, you remember here a while back when them people, the Mormons or whatever, was down there and got fucked up, and then next day there was like some dead Mexicans on the street, and they're like, here's the guys that did it or whatever, you know what I mean? And they made like a blood sacrifice to keep like special forces from moving in on whatever situation. And then like all the buttfuckers and the perverts, the Democrats, they want that flow of drugs and rabies. You know what I mean? Like they want a bunch of people to come up to whatever. You know what I mean? And then it gets facilitated where they're like, oh well, we took a busload of migrants and sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, well, they kicked them off Martha's Vineyard. That was all on TV too. Where'd the kids go? I didn't see any kids on the bus on the way getting out of there. Did you? I didn't. You know what I mean? And that's just assumption on my part. But I mean, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. And that's what's up. That's what's up. That's the 411 on what's going on and how to fix it. And I'm telling you right now, the HEB won't let me be or let me be because there would be heads on fucking pikes in the goddamn, and I mean that, the goddamned anyways, it's so great that God is God and I am not. It is. I'm telling you right now. If you think for just a second that there is not a lake of fire, bro, like I cannot express to you the feelings that I get considering these people. And then how mad I am that the freaking corporate media turns a blind eye to it. And then, everybody in America, oh, America first, blah, blah, this. Okay, yeah, America first. Sure. How about North America? You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, we got veterans living on the street. We got veterans running multi-billion-dollar companies too. You know what I mean? A lot of times, people are in situations due to their choices. You know what I mean? And there should be a way to help them people. They gave everything for this country. You know what I mean? And then, like, we can't live off the backs of all these people. You know what I mean? Just because Amazon goes over here and slave labors all this stuff, and the Chinese make our phones and all this other bullshit, and we're just going to sit back in the lap of luxury. You know what I mean? Laugh a little bit. Well, maybe if gas is 50 cents a gallon, maybe I wouldn't mind so much about Venezuela. You know what I mean? Well, that's going to take a lot of kick-ass. And in the process of that, a lot of people's going to get hurt. But they're hurting, oh man, they're hurting worse than you imagine right now. There's how many people in the process of Otna right now that's known, and nobody's doing nothing about it. You know what I mean? So when you see these Epstein files, and you see this, and you're like, okay, well, Trump's compromised, and you know he's playing the long game, and he's delaying this, that, and the other, whatever else like that. Well, I don't know if you've ever built a house of cards and watched how fast it falls, but if you've ever built a hurricane-proof house, you know, you huff and puff, but your house don't blow down. Well, by God, you got to put a few termites here and there, and you need to get a few specialized tools, and you're going to light a fire over here, a little C4 over there, and, you know, break the fucking house down. That shit ain't going to happen in no 12 months. That shit ain't going to happen in no 12 months. That's because it's propped up from all these foreign motherfuckers they call globalists. That's what's up. So when you see this shit, and you see us starting to go fucking pirate style, I was not encouraged at all about that. This is the national repentance I've been speaking about. National repentance is I'm taking my eye off the ball of, you know, this is my swamp, and freaking prepared to, you know, shelter in place while the freaking whatever happens, and pivot to I am going to, and just, you know, whatever God says. And yeah, so it is what it is. It is what it is. But we see this, you know, this, you know, there was the British Virgin Isles, there was the American Virgin, there's all these Virgin Islands, and everybody thought, well, they're untouched. No, that's where they stand. That's where these perverts go and get compromised. And that's the truth. And that's what's up. I mean, it goes all the way back to the Wizard of Oz. I mean, like, dude, the whole Disneyland was set up to abduct children. You know what I mean? And dude, it goes, it's dude. And the chances of the guy that called the cops, the dude that called the FBI and had Epstein kicked out of Mar-a-Lago, that guy becoming our president, he's Satan himself, the Antichrist, or he's like the final trump card before the end times. You know what I mean? Like a Hail Mary pass to try to pull this thing together. There's no in between. He is or he ain't. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see. I mean, like, it's a hell of a time to be alive. But for the American people to not know what these cartels are doing. Like, why do we not have a 2-hour special on TV in front of God and everybody, being like, this is the reality of the cartels? Why is that not a thing? Why is there not more influencers talking about what they do? I tell you why. Because nobody knows. Like, dude, I've been pulling freight off the border for 5 years. For 5 years, I actually pulled a few loads for Trucking Pros before I even came over here. And they started their thing going from Mexico to Canada and all that. And, you know, I had to tell them, I'm like, dude, you got to weld these things so they can't just take the hinges loose, man. Like, you know, anyway, so, yeah, with the Wellington group and all that, you know what I mean? And, anyways, you know, oh, man. Yeah, so, I know a thing or two about Minnesota and Wisconsin. Anyways, man, it's been something else, bro. It's been something else. And seeing that today, you know, I'm gonna put this link in this deal. I'm gonna upload this. Sorry for making 57 videos and like hounding your people about it. And they got like, you know, you need full-time staff. Be like, what the fuck is Steve doing? Sorry about that. But yeah, you know, hey. You said up your game, didn't you? Rock Hill, go get him.